The Mystery of the Missing Necklace. Chapter 11. Looking for More Clues. Pip was having a boring time in the sweet shop. There was nothing to see outside except the old man on the bench. Nobody went near him at all. Mr. Goon breathed heavily behind Pip, evidently finding the shop a very hot place to be in on this blazing day. Pip made his lemonade last out a long time, and then, to Mr. Goon's annoyance, asked for an ice. "You children seem to live here," said Mr. Goon at last. "You seem to, as well," said Pip. "Nice shop, isn't it?" Mr. Goon didn't think so at all. He was sick and tired of the shop, but it was the best place to watch that old man from, no doubt about that. "You look hot," said Pip sympathetically. "Why don't you go for a row on the river, Mr. Goon? It would be cool there. Seems a pity to spend all your holidays cooped up here." Mr. Goon gave one of his snorts. He wasn't on holiday. He was on a case, a most important case. And, for reasons of his own, he had to wear plain clothes. But he couldn't explain all that to this irritating boy. Bets came in next, and Pip was very glad to see her. "Going to have an ice?" he said. "Well, sorry, I can't wait with you, Bets. So long." He went out, and to Mr. Goon's annoyance, yet another of those children, Bets this time, settled down at the window table, obviously intending to be there for some time. Bets was afraid of the policeman, so she kept her back to him and said nothing at all, but kept a sharp eye on the old man opposite on the bench. She thought how bored poor Fatty must be. Fatty had a coughing fit, and Bets watched in alarm. The cough seemed so very real that she felt sure poor Fatty must be getting a terrible cold. Then Fatty had a fit of the sniffles, and hunted all over himself for a handkerchief, at last producing a violent red one. Then he got up and hobbled round a bit, as if he had got stiff with sitting. Nobody in the world would have guessed he was anything but a poor stiff old man. Bets enjoyed the performance immensely. She knew that Fatty was putting it on for her benefit. Fatty liked little Bet's admiration. All the find-outers were glad when that day was over. It really began to be very boring, taking turns at sitting in the sweet shop and watching for something that didn't happen. As for Fatty, he was terribly bored. "Tomorrow I am going to supply myself with plenty of newspapers to read," he said. "I simply can't spend hours coughing and sniffing, and all for nothing too. Not a soul passed me a message or anything." "We found out something interesting at the Hooter shop, though," said Bets, and she told Fatty about the two men who had bought Hooters that week. "One who lives at Cozy Cot, and one man with odd eyes," she said. "The boy didn't know where he lived, and the third person who bought a Hooter was you, of course." "Has that shop only sold 3 Hooters all this month then?" said Fatty, surprised. "Well, they have only just got them in," said Pip. "That's why. So if that fellow who spoke to you the other day on the bench is a member of the gang, he is either living at Cozy Cot or he is wandering about somewhere with odd eyes, one blue and one brown." "We would better try Cozy Cot first," said Fatty, pleased. "You did well, find-outers. How did you get all this information?" "Well, Daisy did, really," said Pip, and he told Fatty how it had happened. Fatty banged Daisy on the back. "Jolly good," he said. "Very quick-witted. Now, who is going to tackle Cozy Cot?" "Isn't it a dreadful name?" said Pip. "Why do people choose names like that? Can't we go down into the village and find it tomorrow morning? It's too late now." "Right," said Fatty. "We will. I shan't have to masquerade as that old fellow till the afternoon, so I can come with you. Meet you at Pip's tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock sharp." So, at 10 o'clock they were all there. Buster too. They set off to find Cozy Cot. They met a postman and he told them where it was. They soon found it. It was a little bungalow set in a trim little garden. At the back was a shed. I bet that's where they keep the bicycles, said Fatty. Now, how can we get a peep inside? I know, said Pip. I've got a ball. I could chuck it into the garden and then we could go and ask if we might get it back. And you could peep into the shed. Fatty, if a bike is there with a hooter on, we'll wait about for the man who lives here and see if we recognize him as the one who spoke to you and had a bike with a hooter. We might recognize the bike too if we see it. This seemed a good and simple plan, so Pip proceeded to carry it out. He threw the ball wildly and it flew into the garden of Cozy Cot, actually hitting against the bicycle shed. Blow, said Pip loudly. My ball's gone into that garden. We'll go and ask if we may get it, said Daisy. So into the gate they went and up to the front door. A woman opened it. Please, our ball has gone into your garden, said Pip. May we get it? Yes, but don't tread on any of the beds, said the woman, and shut the door. The children went round to the back of the house. To their annoyance, they saw a man there, digging. He stared at them. What do you kids want? Oh, excuse us, please, but your wife said we might come and get our ball, said Fatty politely. I hope you don't mind. Well, get it then, said the man, and went on digging. Fatty made for the shed and pretended to hunt round about. The door was open and he looked inside. It was full of garden tools and old sacks, but there was no bike there at all. How annoying! Haven't you found it? Said the man, and came over to look too. Then Fatty gave an exclamation and picked up the ball. He looked at the neat little shed. Useful sheds those, aren't they? He said. Jolly good for bikes. Wish I had one like that. Oh, I don't use it for bikes, said the man. We haven't any. I use it for my garden tools. Oh, said Fatty. Well, thank you for letting us get our ball. We'll be going now. They went out into the road and crossed over to talk. Hasn't got a bike, but that boy at the shop distinctly said that the man at Cozy Cot bought a hooter, said Bets indignantly. He must have got a bike. Why should he pretend he hasn't got one? It's a bit suspicious, said Pip. They walked on, puzzled. Suddenly, round the corner, they heard the noise of a hooter. Par, prap, 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 prap. The children clutched at one another, thrilled. A hooter! Perhaps it belonged to the man with odd eyes. Perhaps it would be his cycle coming round the corner. But round the corner, ridden at a tremendous pace, came a child on a tricycle. He ran right into Fatty, who gave a yell and hopped round on one leg, holding his right foot in his hand. You little idiot! What did you come round the corner like that for? Yelled Fatty. Well, I hooted, said the little boy indignantly. Didn't you hear me? I hooted like this. And he pressed the rubber hooter on his tricycle and it purr-prapped loudly. It's a new hooter, he said. My daddy bought it for me. You should have got out of the way when you heard me coming round the corner. We weren't expecting a tricycle, said Pip. We thought the hooter was on a bike coming along the road, not on the pavement. Well, I'm sorry, said the little boy, beginning to pedal again. But I did hoot. I hoot at every corner, like this. Prap, prap, went the hooter, and the 5 children watched the little boy pedal swiftly down the pavement, then across the road, and disappear into the gate of Cozy Cot. I feel like saying gah, said poor Fatty, wasting our time looking for a hooter that's on a child's tricycle and getting my foot run over. Never mind, said Bets consolingly. You'll be able really to limp this afternoon when you are the old man again. They all went back to Pip's. It didn't seem any use trying to find the owner of the other hooter. They couldn't possibly go round looking at everyone in Peterswood to see who had odd eyes. It was very disappointing about the tricycle. I think this is a very slow sort of mystery, said Bets. It will be time to go back to school again before we have even begun to solve it. What's the date? Said Pip. Let me see. It must be the 7th of September. No, the 8th. Gracious. We really haven't much more time. Perhaps something will happen soon, said Larry hopefully. You know how sometimes things sort of boil up and get terribly exciting all of a sudden. Well, it's time this one did, said Fatty. It's been in the refrigerator long enough. Everyone laughed. I wouldn't mind sitting in a fridge myself, said Daisy. Let's get our swimming things and go and swim in the river. I'm so hot. So down to the river they went and were soon splashing about happily. Fatty, of course, was a very fine swimmer and could swim right across the river and back. Bets splashed happily in the shallow water. The others swam about lazily just out of their depth. Bets thought she would swim out to them, so off she went, striking out valiantly. She didn't see a punt coming smoothly through the water, and before she could save herself, she felt something brush past her shoulder and screamed. The punt slid on, unable to stop, but a boat following behind swung round, and a man caught hold of her and held her. You're all right, aren't you? He said, bending over her. Can you swim? Yes, gasped Bets, striking out again. Fatty! Fatty! Come here quickly! The others swam over to the frightened little girl. They helped her to the shore, and she gazed after the distant boat and gulped. Oh, she said, oh, I have missed the most wonderful clue, but I couldn't help it. Oh, Fatty, the man in that boat had odd eyes, one blue and one brown. I couldn't help noticing them when he caught hold of my shoulder. And now the boat is gone, and I never even noticed its name. Oh, Bets, said everyone, and Bets looked ready to cry. Didn't you notice what color it was or anything? Asked Larry. Bets shook her head. No, I suppose I was too frightened. Oh, I'm so sorry. It was such a wonderful clue, and a suspect too, and I lost them both.